Good afternoon. Thank you, Frank, and welcome everyone. My name is Deena Brecher, and I'm the Scholar in Residence for the Thrive RU program at Ryerson. And it is a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon.
What a delight. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Wayne. I'm Dr. Deena Shaffer. I'm the coordinator of student transitions and retention, formerly with Student Affairs, now within Student Wellbeing. And what a joy. Thank you for hosting us today. So what frames our presentation around coping during this time of COVID, and all that's uncertain and out of our control given the current context? What can we do to bring more health and hope to our days? That's really what's going to guide us today. We offer the following strategies, not as rigid to-dos. There's nothing prescriptive here. We're not offering them as should be doing this or that. It's not glib advice, but rather to support you in both uplifting and grounding your days to help you thrive, even if a little bit more while at home. Okay, single-mindedness. So is it any of your experience right now? I'd say raise your hand. I can't see you, but raise your hand. If, say you're living with somebody and you're in the kitchen preparing something and somebody says, could you bring me back a glass of water on your way in, when you're on your way back? And you forget the glass of water. So, I'll raise my hand, certainly. And is it the case for anybody? Are you missing meetings? Are you accidentally thinking that it's at 2:30, but actually it was 1:30, or you thought you didn't have a meeting today, but it turns out you do? I'm living that. I'm watching that with my husband all the time these days. And we're going to talk about self-compassion shortly, but the truth is there's already a demand on our cognitive load, on the amount that we can hold. And it can affect working memory, meaning what we can hold in between the short-term sensory stimulation before it's entrenched into long-term. So this in-between space of working memory can be very much impacted by all that's going on. So we already know that we're hovering at stress. We're receiving news. We're trying to take care of our health. We're trying to clean down surfaces. We're trying to keep, a hockey stick length away from people. In addition to that, we're trying to wrap up courses. We're trying to attend online classes and tutorials and office hours. That's a lot to manage. We're also caring for people in our lives. If you imagine that each of us, like a video game, has power bars, we might already be halfway down. And when we try to ask ourselves to do too much at any one time, we're depleting our resources even further. So if you could just imagine, like these very sweet gifts, can you imagine that you only have so much, and that instead of having, you're studying and your phone pinging and music going, watch how much of a load you're asking upon your attention, and can you actually take off some of that sensory demand? Can you take off the competing multitasking demands, multitasking being a myth anyways, and really try to focus on just one thing, even if it's for a 20-minute window? And might that be the way to move through what's on your plate?
So sleep. Well, it turns out that even at the best of times, many people struggle with sleep, either falling asleep, staying asleep, getting enough sleep, waking up refreshed, and on and so forth. And I think that during times of COVID, sleep is an issue for all of us for an added reason, on top of whatever your individual ones are, is that sleep is a time where we completely let go, become unconscious, and let it all go. When we feel like we're at risk or there's a threat, it's very hard to let go. So I want to talk about the importance of sleep in terms of our stress levels and our immunities. So let's just start with what is a body clock. So when you can see this chart here, this is, not everyone lives exactly by these hours, but let's just say you do, that you wake up at 6:30 or 7 in the morning under normal circumstances, and you go about your day. And then let's say in the evening, maybe you've had exercise during the day or the early evening. Definitely don't have it just before you want to go to sleep, because it revs up and energizes the body, and you need to be powering down, so to speak, winding down. So let's say you get to bed around 10:45, 11, 11:15. And in the course of the night, there are 3 different kinds of sleep in which we engage. There's light sleep, deep sleep, which is very restorative, and then REM sleep, which is a rapid eye movement when we dream. Next slide, Deena. So how does a good night's sleep impact us? Well, it increases all kinds of things that we want and need: concentration, decision-making, creativity, social skills, and the physical markers of health. There's a lot of interesting research out there around increasing our immunity through sleep. And so if there was ever a time that we need to be immune to certain things, it is now. It also decreases the kind of things we don't want to have, is extreme moodiness, stress, anger, impulsivity, and an increase in alcohol and nicotine use. So what happens with a good night's sleep is it really sets us up to thrive. And I want to talk about a couple of things that we can do that can really help transition from a very busy day into sleep. Many of us are what I call velocitized. It's like when you come off the 401 and you're going 120K an hour, and then you're supposed to go down to 60 really fast. And it feels like you're just going so slowly because you're just not used to that new pace. So you need to slow down. And so a buffer zone, creating this buffer zone, is first of all, not with the screen, and doing something relaxing, soothing. It could be interesting, but not really terribly stimulating. So sometimes playing card games can really keep you awake rather than help you fall asleep. So you want to, almost like a dimmer switch, be turning it down just a little bit slowly, so that by the time you want to go to bed, you've prepared yourself and you're ready to fall asleep. I want to talk about savoring. Well, to pay attention to and truly take in a meaningful way, the things that are good, because it's not all bad. There will be moments. So this little girl is truly enjoying this ice cream cone. There's no doubt. She's got it in her hair, she's got it all over her fingers and her face and all of that. This is an invitation to enjoy the things in your life as fully as she seems to be enjoying this ice cream cone. To really give yourself permission to, in that moment, be fully present into the joy that you're experiencing. Maybe someone sent you. It's an exercise that you can do, and I would recommend doing it towards the end of the day, possibly even just before you go to sleep, which is to notice really good things that happened in the time, but it means you happened, and really focus on it for a little while. Let it balance out the litany of bad news that, if you're listening to it throughout the course of the day, feels like it's never ending. So shift the focus, balance yourself out a bit, and focus on 3 good things that have happened. Another thing to consider is nature and the joy and pleasure that nature can give us. And if you're in a situation where you have any access to trees or lawns, we're just starting with spring. I've been noticing the buds just coming out in the past 2 days. Or at the very least, can you close your eyes and bring to mind a place in nature that's brought you comfort, connection, solace, or a sense of refocus? Do you have a sit spot? Bring it to mind in full and vivid detail. Sometimes people take photographs or videos of their favorite nature spots. Watch those as well. That's just another way of connecting to it. And if you can get out of the house and get into nature, I would strongly encourage you to do that on a regular basis and to truly re-experience those special times.